Okay, so when we last left off, we were talking about the Great Plains, which is the red region right here, and now we're going to talk about the North Central Plains, which is this green area, another area you can see right here. Okay, so the North Central Plains are located in the center part of the state. The hill country is in the southern part, so the hill country is down here towards the sort of the center the heart of the state. It is bordered by the Caprock Escarpment on the west, so we talked about that last time. So the Caprock Escarpment does go along this line, and it is a quick elevation change. So it actually moves up in elevation when you go into the Great Plains area that we talked about last time. So down here it's a little bit lower elevation. Up this way it's higher elevation. It's also bordered by the Balcones Escarpment on the east. Alright, so same thing. So in this area, it's kind of like a little step. Right, so we step down, and then we can step down into the Gulf Coast area, which we're going to talk about again here in a second. Alright, so I want to show you guys real quick what that looks like. So if you look at this map, you can see an outline where it's green on this side, and then more of a yellow color all along here. So that's where we actually have an elevation change, where it actually becomes taller, right? So, and we're talking about 1,000 feet taller from this area to this area. 1,000-foot elevation shoot up or change from the Great Plains to the North Central Plains. Alright, so some North Central Plains cities include Waco, Fredericksburg, Llano, Fort Worth, Wichita Falls, Abilene. So if you're from Dallas, hopefully you know where Fort Worth is at. If you don't, that's okay. Fort Worth is one of our neighboring cities from Dallas and Mesquite. So Wichita Falls is in the northern part of the state, and Abilene is actually toward the western part of the state. The hill country is a popular name for the area of hills along the Balcones Fault, and is an area that transitions from the Great Plains and the Gulf Coast Plains. So the Gulf Coast Plains we're going to talk about next, after the North Central Plains. So some physical characteristics of this area are the prairies. So we have even more flatland prairie areas. There are forests in the cross timbers area. So again, this is where we find oaks and pecan trees, just general hardwood forests. There are rolling plains and hills, and there's a variety of trees. So in the area there's also small shrubs, but there's no cacti. And there is limestone rock. So remember we talked about limestone last time. Another reason why the area hasn't eroded very much. And there's thick grass, so it's known for still having a lot of grass that contributes to the plains idea. It is still a plain. Some physical features that affect industry are the rich soils that can support farms. So in this area, it's also common for there to have other industries based on the natural resources, such as gas. Gas has become an important industry in this area. The climate of the North Central Plains, again, remember climate means what the weather is like on average throughout the entire year. So on average, it is a subtropical environment, which means it is a very hot and humid summer, and a fairly cold, but not too cold, kind of mild winter at times. It is dry a lot of times, but especially in the summer, it can be very dry. The hottest summer temperatures in the state can be found here, and generally there's about 20 or 30 inches of rainfall a year, generally occurring in spring and fall. There are violent storms and tornadoes. It's very well known for its storms and tornadoes and flooding. So Central Texas is shaped by many rivers and hills. There's the Trinity River, which flows into Dallas from and past Fort Worth as well, and surrounding areas. So in a single year, the region can receive up to 48 inches of rain. That's 4 feet of rain, which compared to the Mountains and Basins region, which is only at about 8 to 20 inches, we're looking at a huge difference. And this causes a lot of flooding, especially near the rivers and near low-lying areas. In this area, because of the rivers, people love to go floating down a river in inner tubes. So people will air up the inside of a tire, the inner tube, and go floating. Spring is also a good time for people to go drive the roads, especially around the country, rural areas, and you can go and look at wildflowers, which include bluebonnets and Indian paintbrushes, which we looked at last time. So remember, bluebonnets are actually the state flower. In the fall and winter, hunters visit this area in hopes of taking home a white-tailed deer, so they can shoot white-tailed deer and take that home for food. And also in this area, and especially, I mean, in all of Texas, of course, but especially in this area, it is known for its barbecue, as well as Tex-Mex, which is a variation of Mexican food, not traditional Mexican food. Alright, the North Central Plains has many plants. We just talked about some of them. So bluebonnets are one of the main ones. Indian paintbrushes, which are a red plant, red flower. And we also have Texas oak trees. Okay, so these are some different kinds of flowers. These are not Indian paintbrushes, but these are another type of wildflower. We also have mesquite trees, which of course our city, Mesquite, is named after. Alright, so you can't see a mesquite tree in this picture, but you can see an oak tree, and this would be a cedar tree of some sort. Okay, so again, winding rocks or hilly areas, and just some of the general idea. Some piney areas, Little Rocky, and downtown Fort Worth. Alright, some animals that live in the North Central Plains are the bobcat, the white-tailed deer, so here's a bobcat, turkeys, and screech owls. So when you think of owls, they do live in our area. And deer. These are actually prairie dogs. These are prairie dogs. Okay. North Central Plains economy. So the economy has to do with the money that people make. How do people make money? What is a way that people support themselves? So in this area, the fertile soil produces crops for a large portion of its industry. So it can actually, people can grow food here. It is very popular to have livestock, meaning animals. So people do ranch animals such as cows, and people also have crop farming, such as wheat, cotton, corn. These also help drive the economy. So cattle ranching is huge in this area. I actually grew up next to a few cows in an area like this. And the further you go out west into the area, the more land you see that's open and being used for cows. Alright, so North Central Plains resources. There's water from the rivers that can produce big gains in cotton, especially. Corn and other grains are also grown. There's limestone, which can be produced and used in concrete. Sand, gravel can also be used for roads, and again, making concrete buildings and other concrete things. Oil, gas, and clay are used respectively. Oil is one of the biggest economic powerhouses. People grow peaches, hay, peanuts, wheat, and sorghum. So sorghum is a type of grain, sort of like similar to wheat but not quite the same. And this area is also very famous for its peaches. Peaches and pecans are well known in this area and used, exported to other places a lot. So cattle, sheep, and goats are actually grown here. So let's look at where the North Central Plains are. The North Central Plains, where are they? Okay, so hopefully you guessed the green part here. So we got the North Central Plains, the Great Plains, and the Mountains and Basins region. North Central Plains, green. All right, next up we're going to talk about the coastal plains. So watch out for that video.